Would you like to move to Japan? If so, teaching English might be the best way to get yourself there. Hi, I'm Cello. I'm half Brazilian, half Japanese. I was born in Brazil, but I grew up in Japan where I went to high school, university, and I also taught English for several years. So in this video, I would like to share with you a little bit about my experience teaching at an English language school and how that, would give you a basic idea of what your life would be like if you decided to move to Japan while you're teaching English. Okay, that might be a very convenient way to get yourself there. So Japan has several different English language schools. So it is a matter of you doing your research and seeing which one, would be best for you, depending on your qualifications, your nationality, and so on. But I will try to speak more in a general way. Keep in mind, please, that obviously, things might vary here and there depending on the school, but basically, they are quite similar. Okay. My main example is Ion. That's where I worked. I work at two main schools, Ion and GABA. Okay, Mansuman and Eikayo no Ion. So they're very actually different. So I can make a video comparing them or, getting to more into details. But again, the purpose of this video is just to give you an idea of what is it like, your life if you are teaching in Japan. So the first thing is that it's very convenient that you can apply from your home country, so you can basically just go to their website, the English language school website, and find, the place where they have explanation about hiring foreign teachers. Okay, an example here is from Ion. So you go to their website and they have all the information, about how to apply and what are the requirements and so on. Usually they will do an interview online and then another one in person, or they can ended up doing only online and then ask you already to move to Japan. It depends. But yes, you can expect at least, I would say, two interviews. And in one of them, probably they would like you to show some teaching so they actually can see you as a teacher, what's actually your teaching style. And the great thing about this is that if they decide to offer you the job, the school will be helping you to get the visa, the working visa in Japan. And also, they will be helping you to find housing in Japan. Housing, to rent a place in Japan to live, it can be quite difficult if you are a foreigner without any Japanese friends, because we have the Hoshonin, who are, usually the person that needs to be responsible to pay the bills in case you cannot afford it, right? So again, it's a little bit like of a pain, a lot of bureaucracy to deal with in Japan, but the school that is hiring you would be basically in charge of arranging everything. So by the time that you arrive in Japan, you would be already, having a place to go and leave, which is great. I believe they even set up, some basic like appliances, like we have a rice cooker, and some other things. And obviously you can start buying other things later on, but you have the bare basic to leave already. So that is really good. Visa, again, it can be faster. Now Japan is much kind of after the pandemic and everything, is a little bit easier to get the visa, but Japan has always been known for being quite strict when it comes to issuing working visas and so on. So again, by having the school doing that process for you is just so much easier, and therefore it is a great reason for you to consider getting a teaching job in order to move to Japan. Now, talking a little bit about the school, environment. So it might vary, obviously, depending from the school, right? But most of them are basically the same concept, which is you try to get the student, a Japanese person that wants to learn English, and you try to get them to sign up for a course, which is usually like how many lessons, and then you try to keep them in the school for as long as possible, and we're talking about years and years, right? So most of the schools, they have like let's say 10 different levels or textbooks. So when if a student comes and they're starting in the second book, they just want them to continue until they reach fluency, which would be the last book, right? Some people don't, obviously. They, once they consume all of the lessons that they bought, then they will have a counseling to decide if they are able to renew it or not. But again, it's the idea is that you get the student and you keep them enrolled as long as possible. Now, your job as an English, as an English foreign teacher, is to keep the students motivated and like wanting to come back and learn. Right? The working environment usually is great. Okay, you will be working with Japanese people, and they would be divided into two groups: the Japanese people that are hired as English teachers, okay, and the Japanese people that are hired as the counselors, or the people that are doing the sales part of the job. So the idea is that, okay, we have somebody that is a walk-in, or they made an appointment to come and explore. You're considering learn English, so learning English. So they want to see how much is it, what are the lessons like. So the first person talking to those students would be the counselors, the Japanese counselors, and they would be asking questions and finding out like how many times per week they can come, what are their goals, and so on. And then after that, based on their answers, then they will ask either you, the foreign teacher, to conduct a trial lesson, to find out where exactly their English level is at. Or clearly, if they are a beginner, they will ask one of the Japanese English teachers to conduct the trial lessons to know, which beginner level that person is at right now. And then they will recommend a course, so the counselor, Japanese counselor, talks to them first. Then the teacher, English teacher, either you or the Japanese English teacher, will talk to them, and then back to the counselor to try to enroll them at the school. Okay. Once they decided to join the school, then if they are taking your classes, then obviously the idea is that they really get attached to you, and like they enjoy the lesson. So when it comes to the time that they are about to renew their course, they will say yes, right? Because they really enjoy your lesson. So that being said, usually most of the time you will be offered a 1-year contract. However, the schools will always want you to stay longer, so they will offer you to renew your contract unless you're really kind of bad, and not very popular. But if you are, and you have students that really enjoy and give good feedback about your lesson, yes. So after a year, you renew your contract and you stay in the same school, because for this school, again, it's they want to keep the students there as long as possible. And sometimes if their favorite teacher leaves, they might really lose motivation, right? So chances are, if you're doing a good job, you will get the offer to renew, meaning that you can extend your stay in Japan, which happens most of the time with the people that I worked with. The working hours and schedule, vary from school to school, but basically you will be asked to work 5 days a week and about 8 hours per day. You can expect to work always the late hours, which are 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock lessons, right? Because that's the time when the people finish their work and they come to the school. And also the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays are quite busy, because a lot of people that don't work on those days, they will come to the school to learn English. You might be able to choose which days of the week you want to have it off. Like in my case, I was able to choose Sunday and Monday, which was great. But again, it depends on which school you are, how many teachers you have, and so on, right? But again, keep in mind that yes, you will be expected to work late hours and the weekends as well. And another thing to keep, the mind that kind of set already, is that you will not be able to choose where you want to teach. Meaning, even if you would love to live in Kyoto or Tokyo, you might ended up being sent to a very small countryside city, right? So that is something that you have to consider and be willing to do so, because they have so many English schools in Japan, and obviously everybody would like to go to the big ones, so they do need people to go to the smaller ones as well. One last thing that I would like to say here is that, like in any country, when you go traveling, as a tourist, it's different from when you actually stay there and you try to leave, right? So I do have some friends that were, really into Japan, and obviously when they were, like living in Japan, and they were, finding more about the Japanese culture, they ended up not really liking it, right? So that's why I created this corner of my videos. The purpose of this channel is to teach, but also I have the corner like let's talk about, because it's so important to talk about the culture. And like any other country, we have the positive and the negative. So like it is a big thing to go and move to another country and work there, even if you're planning to do it only for a year, still a 1 year of your life. So do your research and really find out if that's something that you want to, experience. And I believe that if you do commit to do so, you kind of have to have that commitment and say, I'm aware that I'm gonna have some difficulties, and no matter what, I will do my best to overcome them, and give yourself a deadline. So that's why I believe a year is kind of great, because no matter what, you stay for a year, you finish your contract, and then you can make up your mind. Do you want to go back home, or are you done with the experience? Or if you want to renew it, you can do so, right? So I think, again, in terms of the process of getting the visa, getting the tickets, getting the housing sorted out in Japan, I think it is, yes, a great way of getting yourself in Japan. So if you do have, English as your first language, or you are an English teacher, do some research, and definitely this can be a great way to, help yourself to start this new life in Japan. All right. If you guys have any questions or comments, make sure you leave it below. I will try to get to them as soon as possible. If you want me to make a video, perhaps going deeper about what is it like to teach at Ian, okay, and also GABA. Just in a nutshell, like, GABA is very unique. Like, Ian is like the other main schools in Japan is more like a group lesson, but GABA is a one-on-one system. And also something great that I love about GABA is that they're so international in terms of hiring their teachers. Most schools in Japan, they will kind of prefer native speakers, people that have English as their first tongue, whereas the GABA really hires anybody, regardless of their nationality, as long as they have, great, English level, like they have the certificates to prove that they are fluent. So, especially if you're learning English for business, and you want to work using English, um, I definitely recommend GABA. But again, that's a very different method of teaching. So also, if you are a teacher in that kind of school, it will be completely different, your experience. So if you do have some interest in that as well, leave a comment below, and I can make something, to give you an idea what is it like. All right. I hope this video helped you to understand. And yes, I wish you all the best. Good luck. So, それではまた。バイバイ。